What I have one of the HIMIWAY bikes. This is the big dog, and I got two of these, one for myself and one for my wife. We want a rack, so we're going to put it on the Expedition, build a rack so they put this on. So we're going to make one that's simple, kind of overkill and everything, and it should work just fine. So that's what we're going to do, and instead of buying steel, I'm just going to use what I got laying around. So it might be way too thick than needed. Okay, this is the pile of steel that I have down here. It's a little rusty, but this is what I'm going to use. I was looking through it, and the only thing I found that I can use is this 1.5" angle iron. As you can see, it's fairly thick. That's an 1.5" by 1.5". I'm not sure what thickness that is, but it's big enough, no problem. So we're going to take it, it's a 24-foot bar, and I'm going to cut it in 4 pieces, so that would be 6 feet a piece is our rough cut first. Okay, what we're going to do, the 1" by 1" angle, I'm going to cut these right here 6 feet. I need 4 of them, so I'm going to cut 4 total. So that's 4. I'm going to have a 2" by 2". Now this one's quite thick and quite heavy. It's way overkill. This is good enough for a 10-ton trailer. It's a 2 by 2. This goes into the receiver of the car or the truck or what you're putting it in. I cut it 6 feet long, which is most definitely too long. We know that. I'm going to put everything in there because I'm building this on the fly. In other words, I have it in my mind how I'm going to build it, but sometimes it don't work out. So I have everything longer than I need to have, so that if I have a problem, it's easier to cut off than try to add on. So I got a 6 foot of this too. Now, there's another 2 by 2, which is totally overkill for sure. Don't need that. This could be paper thin, what I'm going to use it for. But this is what I have, this is what I use. I got to have a grand total of 8 pieces of 3.5 inches long that I got to cut on that one. Now, after that, I got to have some flat bar. Here's some sort of flat bar that I have. This looks like an 1.5" by 1/8 inch thick. Totally too thick too, but that's fine. I'll probably have to have a grand total about 4 pieces, maximum 18 inches, probably less. So I'm going to need 4 of these. That should be the whole construction built of the unit, except a couple hooks that I weld on to like put a tie to tie the bikes up on the top. So I'll probably weld some hooks on this bar, and I use a chain. I just cut the links out. I just weld the links down to hook them to. So that should be all the steel that you need to do this whole project. Okay, I'll show you the materials that we're going to use. This is going to be for the whole unit. I might put a brace for the front tire going up. I don't know yet. So I'm going to show you the steel that's going to be the holder for the bikes for the bike carrier. I'm going to use flat bar. This is going to go underneath the tires. I cut it 24 inches. It is a grand total of 0.175 inches thick, which is quite thick. And I'll have to be cutting this to size. I just cut 4 pieces just to get it ready. Next thing is right here. I said this wrong on the beginning of the video. This is 6 inches long, 2 by 2. I said 3.5, and I need 8 pieces. So these are 6 inches actually, not 3.5. And this is real thin. This is 0.06 material. This is the one that's heavy. This is the one that goes into the trailer hitch. I already drilled the hole in it. It's 11/16 inch hole, 2.5 inches from here to here. And this is kind of heavy. I got it 6 feet long. Don't need it 6 feet long, I know. I don't know exactly how big I'm going to make it because I got to keep the bikes away from the car and keep the bikes, because I'm making 2 racks, keep the second bike away from the first bike. So I cut everything 6 feet, which is too big. So next thing we're using, oh, and by the way, this is 0.175 inches thick. Quite heavy. I used all the steel that I got laying around. I did not buy anything for this project. Next, 4 pieces at 6 feet long. These are angles. This is 1.5 by 1.5 angle. And the thickness of this is 0.125. So this is probably about the right size. And I got 4 pieces of that. That's what we're going to start with on the steel. Tools. The only thing I need right at the moment will be a square, if you want it halfway square. Next, got C-clamps to clamp it together, so when I get ready to weld the joint, I can. Tape measure, a couple pins and a scribe, and I use a grinder. This is like sandpaper around it to sand down the steel for the rough edges or sharp metal. And towards when I need to cut the ends off, a cut-off saw. So I can just cut the metal exactly to the size. So that's their tools we're going to use. And over here, I took one of the bikes, I put a strap on it, hooked it to the engine lift. This is so I can work with it down towards the bottom, so the bike's not falling on me. So I can lift it actually so if I want to, I can lift up the bike to get the more accurate measurements and everything. So I got that. Next thing I'm going to use, it's a platform that I'm going to lay the steel on to lift up the bikes from the wheels so I can get the exact measurements and stuff. The only reason I'm using this here is because for my age, it's hard to bend down upside down to get the exact measurements. It's easier if I can lift it up a little higher. So we're going to get started on the project. Okay, first thing I did, I took the flat bar and I welded it to the 2x2 on the one end even. You got to make it square, at least halfway square. And this is going to be the wheel cradle. And we got to build 4 of these. So I already welded the end on this one. And the way the wheel cradle works is that you got to put it under the wheel. Try to get it close to the middle, don't matter. Let it bump the back, because that's your wheel stop. Take the other piece of metal and put it about where it's almost touching. Not quite, but about right there. Then you take, so you got it about right here, and you need to have that fairly square because it has to be fairly in line. If it's not exactly perfect, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is make sure that tire is setting on that bottom plate, because that's holding your tire up so it doesn't fall through that frame. And then these are two stops so the bike doesn't go back and forth. So then after you get it in there, you tighten it up. And take it out. Next thing I do, out of curiosity, I check and make sure that that piece I just clamped on is fairly square, which it is. We need to weld here and here at least. It doesn't hold much weight, so. So getting it in position. Now we're just going to weld this piece here. And then we've got to weld the other side. So now we got both sides done. Right there. Now what I'm going to do is take the one with the sandpaper that I use. And I'm going to cut it right here. Chunk of metal still hot. And then just take it and break it off. Now what we have is a wheel cradle. Okay, what we did, we took one of the cradles that we built, which is here, the wheel cradle. We put it all the way to the back. We got the 6 foot, 1.5 by 1.5 inch piece. Because no matter what bike you get, you can have one 12-inch tires, 30-inch tires, ever what the hell the sizes are. You just build the cradle for the tires, and then you make this piece I got 6 feet to the length you desire, because this is too big. I'm going to be cutting it off. And for the front wheel, I am going to build some sort of a brace for the front wheel to hold it up straighter. So what we did, we took the wheel cradle, we clamped it on, got the 2 main bars that's going to hold the bike in position and square. On the other end, we put a spacer that the other one will go to, and we put a spacer there to make sure everything's square. I took a square out on the end and made sure it was square. So now we're going to weld the wheel basket on to the 2 main bars. That's what we're going to do next. Okay, I got the bracket up here on my table. I got the tire in the wheel bracket that we built and welded on. Next, I didn't mention this thing that I did. I built this little spacer. This is the width of the tire, 4 inches. So I just built the spacer and I put it into the hole here and then crank it down just to get the right spacing so I don't accidentally get it too small. Now what we're going to do is take this wheel spacer. It's got to go under here where the wheel is and get clamped onto here so that we can weld this. Now you got to remember the wheel spacer's got to be pretty well accurate because we're building this rack for this bike. So if you got a bigger bike, you know, you just alter the measurements and everything, and that's all you got to do. So we're going to clamp this on. I'm going to have my wife to help me, so she's going to have to, we're going to have to stop the camera and help put these clamps on. Because I got to hold the bracket, clamps, tighten them up. Don't have enough of hands. We put the other wheel bracket right here. I got it clamped with C-clamps on all the sides. This is ready to take back off and weld. I still have the spacer here to keep it in check for the exact width, so nothing moves on me when I pick it up. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to put some sort of metal about right here, goes up here, and then bar goes here. So it's at an angle that actually holds from here to here stiffer, because this is 1.5 inches, another 2 inch, so we actually got 3.5 inches in the cradle here that holds the bike secure at the bottom, and that's what we want. And I'm just going to bring something up here to give a little more leverage on the front tire, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to remove that and we're going to weld this in position, and then we're going to cut the end off like that and figure out the angle after I get this one built and the other one built. As soon as we're done, we get to the next stage. Got the wheel caddy mounted down, all clamped in. Now we're getting ready to weld the wheel caddy on this end. This is going to be for the front side. So that's what we're going to do right now. That's a good weld now. Okay, what we have to do now is cut this off even. This is that excess of metal where I did a 6-foot cut, and I put the other front wheel that goes in here, so I cut this off even. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to use a cut-off saw. Should have got it. So that's done. So it's cut off of this end and that end, so everything's square. And now we'll have to put it back on the bike in a little bit and figure out how we're going to brace that front tire coming up like this. some sort of a bracket that we got to do yet. I lost the video of how I made the two front holders, so I got a scrap of steel here that I'm going to actually show you the basic. This metal was pretty bent before I started, so I didn't get it perfectly round, but you get the idea how you make that front holder on the bracket that I did. Now after we heat it up a little, my son's going to grab this end and just lift it up real slow. Lift it up. And I'm going to hit it like that. Okay, now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to move it to a different spot around the curve. And I'm going to heat it again. Okay. Putting a little pressure on it, and I tap it again. Okay, now loosen it up again and bend it just a little more. Right there. Don't want to get too carried away with bending. It'll be smaller than the 4-inch. So you can make it a tighter bend or a looser bend. I'm just guessing to the size at the moment. Here we go again. I'd have this a little too tight. Okay, we're gonna bend this back just a little here because I think I got it too tight on this side at the beginning. So let's see how close. It's a little too tight. There, it's getting better. Okay, tap it again. That's not too bad. You get the idea. You just got to work with it to get the bends. That's how I did the other one. Okay, what we have, we got the bike rack. We put this big post into the car hitch down here and put the pin in, so we already know everything fits perfectly before we do this. We measured from here to here. We put the bike on it and made sure the handlebars wasn't going to break out my window. So we did that, and we pushed it as close as we could to the car. So nothing touches the car or anything like that. So everything's ready. We're going to tack weld this first to make sure that we don't bump it or move it or anything. Then we're going to put the bike in, then we're going to put the second rack on. So this is ready to weld, and we're going to get ready to weld these two joints here. That's what we're going to do right now. Okay, we got the first bike onto the rack. We have it tacked welded right at the moment in place where the bike's going to go. The bike's setting pretty good. It's fairly close to the back window, but it's about 6 inches away. With no tie straps, it's pretty solid the way it is. Look at that. That's with no ties of any kind. So I think that's pretty good on itself. Next thing, we're putting the second rack on. We got it measured. We're trying to put it as close as we can get, but not too close, because we want to try to keep as much weight from the hitch part to here. We don't want it way out here. We want it close as we can get it, because that eliminates the weight, and naturally when it's out farther you got that leverage effect. So a little bit of weight here is a lot over there. So we want to make sure that's good. And so we come to the conclusion, we put it in the middle, between here and here, so that's in the middle. So the weight's counterbalanced. We're getting ready to weld this one in, tack it, to see exactly how it's going to look with both of them on it. We already put it in. We made sure it was going to be okay, but we just haven't welded it yet. Because you always, tighten it down, check it, and check it again, and check it again. Make sure you're going to like it, because as soon as you weld it, it's a real pain in the ass to try to get the weld off. So it's better to do it the first time, and that's it. Okay, we're going to get ready to weld this part now. Okay, what we're doing, we need to make some chain links. We're going to cut a chain link out, and we're going to weld it down. This is where we hook our ties to the bikes. So the ties will hook here, and it goes up and then back down to hold the bikes up, to hold them down. So I always use chain links. It's easier and everything. You just take a chain link, and you cut it out, and there's your chain link. You just put it onto the surface and weld it down, and you got a place to hook. That's how I make mine. We got the one bike on. We got that one tacked welded at the moment. We're going to put the second bike on. Well, I'll put the second bike on later. I'm going to do the chain links first. First, I need to know exactly where I'm going to put the chain links and weld them down. First, you got to have some sort of an angle for the chain links, and because if it's straight up and down, it doesn't do too good, it doesn't do too much. It needs to be just a little dab of an angle. And where we're going to end up putting it, probably put one about right here. The other one goes about right there. This one here is on the outside. It's going to go about right here. And naturally the one on the inside, which is real hard to get to at the moment because the bike's there, is there. And what I do usually, because first you got to have those chain links upward. So I usually cheat. I use a magnet. There you go. I put it right there. I tacked. So you can do it this way too. I tack this angle down first and then go back and do the other. So that's cheating, but it works. So we're going to weld all these chain links on next, and then I'll start the video up again. Okay. Now we're going to weld those little chain links on. I got them exactly where I want them to be. And we're going to start with this one right here. I'm only going to weld one side now, and then when I remove the magnets and do the finish welds, then I'll go back and weld the other side. Okay, what we're going to do now, we already got the two stands built, and it's welded to the main pipe. Now this long main pipe is long. As you can see, I put the hook there for a strap. I got all the hooks already in it. I got 4 of them total. Now I got to cut this extra big piece off, and I just use a chop saw. Okay, I got the one side cut. Now I got to get this side cut. The hard part is getting it even. And there it is. One big 2-inch, not a 1/4 inch, but it's close to it, piece. That made it weigh 20 pounds less. Okay, here's the bike rack. I go all the way around. We got the straps on it, one in the front, one in the back. We just got them laying across the racks at the moment. Then here's the back side. The other side. You can see we put them fairly close together and fairly close to the car. Okay, now I want to show you how stable they are. Now the straps aren't that tight. As you can tell, it has a little wiggle, but not very bad. Most of the tires are in the cradle where we made. See, that's pretty solid. Now, one thing I do have is one of these that I use on anything like this. It goes on the trailer hitch. It eliminates this. Okay, eliminates this problem. See the way it shakes a little? It has a little play. The play is at the joint of where that 2-inch pipe goes into the trailer hitch. If you put one of these on it, it eliminates a lot of that wiggling. So it's more solid. You can put it on or you don't have to put it on. It just has more wiggle room if you don't put it on. So the only thing we got left to do is paint the rack. The rack came out to be 70 pounds is what it ended up being. The bikes, I think, weighs 80 pounds or something like that. They're strong enough and everything, and they're ready to go. So this is the end of the video. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed it. When you get a chance, if you would please subscribe to my channel, that would help us out. Thank you.